Okay, so this is an example building. I'll use it for the purpose of demonstration, and let's start first with the mass matrix, right? So obviously you already have an idea that when you define a particular material, you provide its density, and that material is assigned to cross sections. That cross section is assigned to elements, right? So you define material, then you define cross section, and while defining a particular cross section, you attach a material with that cross section. And then the third step is that you actually draw the geometry. But when you draw the geometry, you have to first select a cross section which already have a material, right? So when you select that particular material and cross section and then draw that element and complete all that geometry, the program already have the full volume of your structure and the composition of that volume with what material it is made of. It already have the density of all material. So you already have an idea that how the program knows where a particular mass is located. Now based on the degree of freedoms, the mass is transferred to degrees of freedoms. It is lumped to degrees of freedom, and we call it as nodal mass, right? So each node have 6 degrees of freedom in a 3-dimensional finite element environment, and all those 6 degrees of freedom can have 6 masses associated with that. So each node will have 3 translational masses and 3 rotational masses or mass moment of inertia, right? So when a particular node, for example, any node, if I can select, let's say this particular joint or this particular node, this will have 6 masses principally. Obviously all those 6 will not be used in one particular analysis type. For example, if I want horizontal ground shaking analysis and the program needs to construct mass matrix for that, so only horizontal mass will be used, horizontal in one direction, horizontal in the other direction, and vertical mass and the rotational masses may not be used, right? If I want to perform time history analysis in vertical direction, then vertical mass will also be used. So the very first thing which you should know is how we tell the program that what should be the source of mass to construct mass matrix, and that option is there, define mass source, right? Obviously in material properties, if I select any default material, you give this unit weight per unit volume or mass per unit volume. Obviously they are convertible, so this number you already provide, right? And then you construct everything. So program knows where a particular mass is located, but what thing should be included in mass source or constructing mass matrix, that you will define here, define and then mass source, from where the mass should come from, and there is a default mass source, you can modify that, and there are certain options there. Element self mass, you can check that option. So all the mass which is auto calculated by the program in the whole structure, self weight, will be converted to mass matrix, or it will be used to construct mass matrix. If you have provided any additional mass, because the program provides you this feature that any particular node or any particular element, you can add some additional mass other than what is auto calculated by its geometry and its density. You can just assign additional mass. For example, if you haven't modeled a particular structural element, but you want its mass to be included in the mass matrix, then you can assign an additional mass to a particular node or a particular element and check here this option, that mass will be included in the mass matrix. You can apply that parapet wall load, for example, or water tank load. You can also represent water with some nodal mass, right? So when you apply some particular load, if you don't model, for example, parapet, but you are modeling its load, then you can go for this specified load patterns option, because program can also use some particular load to convert it into mass and then include in the mass matrix, right? So in that case you can go for specified load pattern and select that pattern here. So either you provide additional mass or convert its load into mass, same thing. The inertial effects will not be taken into account if you don't have mass matrix. So the whole purpose of dynamic analysis is to account for inertial effects and the damping effects. Otherwise the K matrix is already there, you can always have static analysis, but dynamic analysis means taken into account this damping and inertial effects, right? So please do not confuse between loading and mass matrix. When you apply a particular loading which is for a particular element which is not modeled in your structure, it is not that you have already assigned it mass, unless you come here and specify that particular load pattern, include it in the mass. Or if you already assigned a particular additional mass somewhere, you should come here and click this additional mass option. Otherwise it will not be automatically accounted, it will not be automatically included in the mass matrix. So one thing you should check here is that element self mass and the dead load pattern should not be selected at the same time, because dead load pattern already have the self weight. If I go for example I click OK, see it is giving me an error that you have selected element self mass and you have selected the dead load pattern to be converted into mass matrix, into mass values, but that dead load pattern already have a self weight multiplier greater than 0. So which means that self weight will be accounted 2 times if I click yes or if I go for this option, right? So if you go for selected load patterns and include the dead load, for example, then uncheck this element self mass, otherwise it will be accounted 2 times. Then this option is about running the modal analysis by having some eccentricity. There is a concept called accidental torsion that can be accounted in 2 ways. One is that you apply the equivalent static forces representing your earthquake forces in not exactly at the center of mass, but some positive and negative eccentricity. Another way to do same thing is that you apply eccentricity here. So the modal analysis will be run by having these eccentricities in x and y directions. Actually the mass of one story will not be lumped exactly at the center of mass, but at 5% left and right if you go for this option. So this is an advanced option, mostly it is used in seismic analysis. So I'll uncheck this. I am doubtful about it. Actually both of these options have separate purpose. There I think you are referring to when you apply equivalent static earthquake forces. There you apply the forces at a certain eccentricity, right, not at the center of mass. Here this option actually you are displacing your mass, the whole story mass is being displaced 5% on left or right. So actually this option is used when you want to see that what will happen if, for example, my real center of mass is not exactly located at my model's center of mass. So you run modal analysis by giving some eccentricity, see how mode shapes and time periods change when I induce eccentricity myself, right, in my computer model. So I know that where my center of mass is actually located at a particular story level, but I lump it at a different location and run modal analysis, and that eccentricity is 5%, which accounts for any accidental change in the scope of my building or any loading change or any change in the configuration between my model and my real structure, right. So both of these things can be used for same purpose, but I am not sure that when you apply a particular eccentricity here and there, whether we can add it or not. Include lateral mass. Obviously you want to perform horizontal analysis or any applied loading in the horizontal direction, so you should include it. If you want vertical, then the program will lump the vertical nodal mass also. Lump lateral mass at story levels, this is obvious. If you uncheck it, program will lump the mass at each node. If you check it, program will lump the mass at each story. So it will sum all the nodes at a particular story, create a master node at the center of mass, and assign the whole mass of the story to that particular node, right. Obviously the mass matrix, the construction of mass matrix will take less time if you lump at the story level, and therefore the analysis time will be reduced. So program for the purpose of dynamic analysis is constructing actually a simplified multiple degree of freedom system when you go for this lumped mass option, right. It will lump the mass at each story, and it is like the same is the mass is only lumped at story levels, right. Simplified mass matrix. Otherwise it will construct a very complex mass matrix which will be having a lot of numbers depending upon the degree of freedom, connectivity and number of nodes, for example. Obviously it is an assumption, by the way, that the story mass is lumped at one story level only. So if you want to be more accurate, then you distribute your mass to whole story level. But what the program does is that when it calculates the story mass, first of all it sums all the translational masses at one particular level and give the same translational mass to the center node, and then the rotational effect of that whole story it calculates as the total mass moment of inertia of the whole story level, and assign that mass moment of inertia to that master node. So that master node captures the rotational effect of mass also and translational mass also, right. So that mass moment of inertia depends on the shape of that story. For C shape it will be different, for rectangular shape it will be different. So if imagine that you have two different buildings with different story layout, but their story masses are same. The master node which is created at the center of mass in both cases will have the same translational mass, but it will have a different rotational mass, right. So the whole effect of that shape of story level will be accounted by that mass moment of inertia. So by the way, I have a very detailed lecture on mass matrix and ETABS demonstration related to that. Please check if you want to go in further more detail, and there I explained that how the program modifies its formulation for mass matrix if I uncheck or I check this lumped mass option, right. I am not in a position to say that what will be the implication. All I can say currently is that distributing the mass to all nodes is a more rational approach compared to lumping it at a particular master node level. But it may not be practical at the same time, that when you distribute mass, the analysis time may become an issue. So in that case, in order to save time, you can go for this lumped mass option. It is same as that rigid diaphragm thing, that obviously if you go for that rigid diaphragm approach, the analysis time will be significantly reduced, and it is more evident in case of high rise buildings. For low rise buildings, either you go for lumped mass or distributed mass, analysis time is not much different. But for high rise buildings, when structure have maybe thousands of shell elements, thousands of frame elements, there the analysis time can become an issue, and you may go for that simplified option. But design implications, I am not sure about that. So you will be actually selecting few load patterns which you want to convert into mass, or if you don't want to convert, for example, live load, 25% of the live load is recommended to be included in the mass matrix, because when you will have some applied loading or ground shaking or any excitation, there will be some live load there at that time. So that should represent mass. So you can give a multiplier of 0.25 and add live load pattern here. So this is where you will tell the program how the mass should be used to construct the M matrix. So this is about mass matrix. K matrix is obvious. You already know that that when you actually draw your geometry, program already have all the lengths of the element, all the cross sectional shapes, and those shapes are already given with the materials. So all the values or constants which are required to construct the global K matrix of the structure, you are already providing that. For example, elastic modulus, moment of inertia, and then length of the elements, and any other, for example, Poisson's ratio, shear modulus, all those stiffness coefficients which you need to construct K matrix for any structure, you already provide that when you follow that hierarchy: material, cross section, element or member, and then full structure, right. So all those when you follow first 3 steps, the 4th step is full structure K matrix, that is already constructed using FEM. You are familiar with the direct stiffness method. So please imagine one frame and just remember what are the values required to construct the global K matrix of that frame. All are already available with the program when you first define material, then assign it to a cross section, and then assign it to a member, right, and then complete the geometry, assign the restraints, the support conditions. The program have everything to construct K matrix. So K matrix is obvious, it is understood how the program construct. Now we are left with C matrix, which is the damping matrix in any particular dynamic analysis, and for that I need to actually go to the load case which I create for dynamic analysis. Damping information is provided right there when you make the load case for dynamic analysis, right. For M and K is a different setup, but for damping matrix the information is given in the load case.